Hello, everyone. It's Lindsay, and today I'm back with another Bible journaling entry for Be Born in My Heart from Open Journey. I'm working on this section titled Kingdom, and I wanted to create a place where I could do a little mini study into the word kingdom, what the Bible says about the kingdom. So I wanted plenty of space to write, even in this smaller margined Bible. So I'm going to start off by, of course, some mixed media backgrounds. This is kind of a no brainer when I'm working with Open Journey products. So I just have some plain white acrylic gesso and I'm scraping it across to the margin using a palette knife. And this just gives me lots of texture. I'm not doing this as a means of prepping the page necessarily. I'm doing this more for the texture and just creating kind of a multi-layered background here. So you can see it kind of skips across the surface. I'm slowly building up some areas over others. It's not as noticeable on camera, but in person you can really see, the areas where it's really built up. You can see the page coming through. And then I'm going to go in with this lattice stencil from Tim Holtz and add even more texture. So the paste is still wet, so I'm just kind of barely laying that down over the top of it and putting some of the, not texture paste, I'm sorry, it's gesso through the stencil. I made sure that was good and dry, and now we're going to add a little color. So I've pulled out my Distress watercolor pencils, and I'm going in with them dry first, just kind of scribbling them and then activating them with a water brush. I went in with antique linen first, but that wasn't quite enough color, so now I'm going in with frayed burlap. I'm wanting this to be very light, very neutral. I'm kind of trying to mimic the imagery that was in the devotional, and you'll see that as we continue on with this page. But this is kind of filling in the areas where that stencil is. So it's really kind of bringing to life that stencil texture and just the overall texture of the gesso. So made sure that was good and dry. And then now we're going to do a little bit of stamping with these Distress watercolor pencils. So I've pulled out the shaded lilac color. I've dipped that into some water to get the end of the pencil wet. And then I'm scribbling that over a mixed media stamp from Open Journey. And you'll see as you can kind of feel that the pencil is getting dry, and I just re-dip it into the water. This is not going to give you a clear impression, and that's not what I'm wanting. I want it to be very loose, just again, adding some texture, building up layers on this background, and bringing in just a touch of color. This color really goes well with that pop of kind of purpley blue that you see throughout the devotional kit. Now, if you had not seen this kit yet, I will have the unboxing linked down below. You can still grab it. You can still get the digital version, whatever you want, whatever your preference is to work through. So you can see I'm just kind of dabbing it all over, just adding little splashes of that color. And then I also use that color to highlight the section, the coming of the kingdom. I guess I should tell you where we're at. We're in Luke chapter 17, I believe, starting in verse 20. All right, so here we're working on the envelope piece. So I've pulled out this collector die set from Tim Holtz. I'm using the main envelope die, that middle label die, and then this card die. And so I used the label die to actually cut a window from the envelope. You can see that there. I thought it would be fun to kind of be able to see the cards that are tucked down in that envelope. For the papers, I just used those papers that I had dyed using Distress reinkers. And here is kind of what I'm going for, is that envelope that's in the devotional. I'll link the shorts video down below that shows how I dye those papers. I just did a whole bunch of them, and now they're just there for me to grab and go through and use for projects like this. So again, mimicking that envelope that's in the devotional. So she's got the word kingdom stamped on that envelope, and it's in two different sized stamps. So I'm stamping king in the larger, I guess it's the middle Matthew alpha from By the Well for God, and then I'll use the little Matthew. I think only the little Matthew is in stock. I don't think they have the larger one. And I stamped that using some Hickory Smoke archival ink. Now I'm just aging the edges of the paper. The nice thing about those dyed papers is they already have a lot of aging and interest to them, but I want to add just a little bit more. This particular one I think was dyed using tea dye. re-inker, and it's a little on the pink side. So I'm bringing in some frayed burlap ink to tie in the frayed burlap that we used with the Distress watercolor pencil on the background. So just a little bit of distressing there. And now I'll go ahead and add some vellum to this peekaboo window. You could also use acetate, plastic packaging. I mean, it does not have to be fancy. I just didn't want, just a big block of paper on the page. This kind of allows you to see into the envelope and see that there's stuff in the envelope. And I'll just use some liquid glue to put this all together. It's very, very simple. I think that this die you can still find in stock, so I will have it linked down below for you guys. There are little enclosures in the die set as well. I'm not going to use those today, but you definitely could. So here you can see it also comes with a die that cuts out cards that perfectly fit within that envelope. And so I cut several of those out of some cardstock that I had dyed using ground espresso ink. And when I dyed the papers, I laid doilies over them while they were drying. And that's what you're seeing on the paper, that lacy detail. I love that. So then I pulled out this newer stamp set from Open Journey that has all of these beautiful, like, logo style stamps on it. And I'm wanting a color that's, you know, not too stark against the color of that cardstock. So I end up going with Hickory Smoke Distress ink. I don't typically stamp in Distress ink, but I'm not wanting a perfect image. This is just almost like a watermark. It's darker than a watermark, but almost like a watermark on the front of these cards. These remind me of playing cards. I think you could really do, like a whole fun mini book series with these cards to tuck in an envelope. I think would be really neat. But I'm going to use these as an area to take notes. So I'm going to study the word kingdom throughout the Bible, see how it's used, the definition, and just kind of do a deep dive study on what the Bible says about the kingdom. And I'll just take all my notes on the back of these cards and they'll just tuck into that envelope. So there you can see. You can sort of see it peeking through that vellum piece, just adds a little bit more interest to that envelope so it's not just a big blob of paper in the margin. And I pulled out, these are the clear stickers that come with the devotional kit, and I want it to look like they're layered over the top of this envelope while also coming up from the bottom of the page, but I want to still be able to read the Bible text. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. So I'm working on a non-stick craft mat and I'm laying the stickers over the top of this envelope, and you can see some of them do hang over the bottom of the envelope, and we are going to stick this directly to the Bible page, and I'll show you a little hack here in a second, but you can see I'm just revealing a little bit of the sticker and then kind of positioning where I want and then sticking it fully down. It is covering up some of that window, and that's okay. It wasn't meant to be, so I could fully see what's inside of it. It's just like a peekaboo, just to give you a hint that there is stuff tucked in that envelope. This is also a great way if you want to add a bunch of prayers, study notes, things like that. So now I'm going to stick this over onto the Bible page and press it down, and you can see now it's adhered to the page, but we're going to rectify that. So I'm just going to take some scissors and cut along the bottom of the envelope. So now we've got the stickers on the page, the sticker on the envelope. So when I put the envelope onto the page, it looks like it's all held together and a continuing image across the envelope, but you're able to pull that envelope away so you can get in and out of it and still be able to read the Bible text. So if you are working in this smaller margin Bible, don't feel like you're missing out on techniques like this, bigger entries. You just have to get creative with how you attach things and create within that 2-inch margin space. So that is it. Very, very simple entry today. And then I'll have some time to go through and spend more of my time in the study rather than the creative aspect. This did not take long to put together at all. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to put those down below for me. Check out the description box for links to everything that I mentioned in the video. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.